Well, today's episode is going to be, of course, we review AEW Dark Elevation. However, as I mentioned previously, there's still some events I haven't seen yet. So today we're going to be reviewing GCW versus New South that took place on the 22nd of January, where we see two companies collide. And then, of course, after that, we have No Peace Underground with some Samsara. I think that's the what's it called, or that took place on the 28th of January, has a double main event. The first one is, of course, is tag team intergender tag team match. We have Joey Janela and Jamie Senegal taking on the Best Bros, Balin Aki and May Sugar. I think that match was gonna be awesome. And then, of course, we have 440, Atticus Cogar, Bobby Beverly, Eric Ryan taking on Sawyer Wreck, Schlock, and I believe Pero, and that's it. And also we got some news updates tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what wrestlers are now being booked for the upcoming GCW Collective on WrestleMania week, and many more. So let's get ready for another episode of the Leader Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Leader Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with GCW versus New South. Now, this is a collaboration between both two different promotions. GCW, who's mostly been spreading their promotion all over the country. They have done shows not only here in the States, but down in Mexico, Japan, and of course, very soon in Canada. Now they're facing another promotion, New South. I have seen maybe one or two of their shows. They're pretty cool. I think they're from Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. But pretty awesome to see this. Of course, Nick Gage comes out when the promoter of New South was there, and of course, very interesting. Now, our opening contest features Jordan Oliver taking on Tyler Franks. I think these guys are like similar in their ways because of they're younger, they're willing to go. But the obvious question, which one of these two is going to come out on top? But in this case, it was Jordan Oliver with the Cloud Cutter. That's still the deal. And he tried to extend his hand to Tyler Franks. He kicked his hand. He didn't want nothing to do. He wanted to be disrespectful to Jordan Oliver. Next up, we got Tony Deppen. Now, originally, we're supposed to have a guy named Brandon Williams, but he got hurt. But, Tony Deppen, being the biggest a-hole on the planet, decided to put him on injury. Cabana Man Dan shows up to give him a helping hand and save him. And, of course, it became Tony Deppen versus Cabana Man Dan. I thought it was a pretty good match because it showed, even though Tony Deppen is always trying to prove how he is the best wrestler that he is, but Commander Man Dad wasn't going to allow him to get away with it until he put him in a sliced bread maneuver. 1, 2, 3. It was over, so they were tied 1-1 between New South and GCW. Next match we have Donnie Primetime versus Sawyer Wreck. I can tell like the majority of the fans did not like Donnie Primetime, but Sawyer, she's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she is tall as hell. She's gonna put you through a choke slam, but if that doesn't end, she'll use either the doors, thumbtacks, or whatever to ensure she gets the victory. And that's what exactly she did. She put Donnie through a a choke slam through the door with thumbtacks, and it was over right from there. Now, our only championship match in this is the New South title that's been carried by Kenzie Page, but however, her opponent is Billy Starks. I thought this match was great, but I also had the feeling that Ella Ivy was going to show up, give her a helping hand. It did not. But when we thought that Billy Starks won this match, somehow she manipulated the process and make it look like that Billy cheated by using a chain even though it wasn't there. The referee saw that and it was continued on knowing that, the match went back to Kenzie Page. Sooner or later, she's going to lose that title if she keeps this up. But I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Starks get revenge for what she did. Then we have a 12-man tag team match. We have team number 1, Team New South, representing them is Steven Michaels, I forgot, Ryan, Chris Crunk, Bradley Toon, Marcus, Dylan, and Rolando. As for Team GCW, we have Marcus Mathers, Cole Roderick, Jimmy Lloyd, Aris, Gringo Loco, and Yoya. Now, this was like a match that you probably would have thought you probably get lost in the shuffle. It kind of did, but it was Rolando Perez that picked up the win when he pinned Marcus Mathers, and it was over right from there. So that kind of put them in the lead, kind of put them already ahead of them. That would make sense. Now our next match, we have tag team action. We got Team Busse taking on the Carnies. Now, have you ever seen Effie how he is? He's always on his knees, wants to see his opponents. You know what? However, I forgot who it was. I think it was Nick Iggy who took a photo of his phone and showed it to Effie, and then he used that as a way to to distract them. But however, it got a little embarrassing when he had to show the picture to Allie. Allie was cranking up. She's like telling him that his, was this small. I just thought it, I thought it was just too darn funny. But it was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie. But in the end, it was, of course, the Zack Ryder by Effie carry to carry awful that allowed Team Bussy to win, so they pick up another one right from there. Next up, we got Hunter Drake versus Blake Christian. Now, keep in mind, Blake Christian, he still continues to show attitude every single time. You guys seen it. That's always been the problem. What we see with Blake Christian, he always has attitude every single time. It took the stomp once again to put away Hunter Drake, and then he wants to take him out. Use the chair on him to take him out, but luckily Cabana Man Dan shows up, who wanted a little payback for what he did, but this time he ran like a coward. Now our main event, we have the 2 tag team champions in a non-title match. Team of 1, we got Infrared, consistent of Tyler Matrix and Logan James, taking on Os Macizos, Ciclopse, and Miedo Extremo. Man, that match was great. I enjoyed it. It took everything that these guys had to try to put each other away, but it did not. But it was, of course, the combination of the of the one thing I did like is how Logan James was telling Miedo Extremo, like, come on, and then out of nowhere he gets a Shining Wizard by Ciclopse. Then later the Avalanche started Star Destroyer, and then after that it was like a thunder bomb by Miedo Extremo that sealed the deal. It was over right there. Los Macizos won. I thought the show was pretty good. I think it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So I think that's pretty much it. What we have, I believe, it's time to move on with No Peace Underground. Okay, it's been a long while since I did did anything from this promotion. No Peace Underground. I just can't remember when was the last time I actually did it. We have their latest show called Samsara that took place on the 28th of January. Now, this particular match event has a lot of things that took place, so let's talk about it. Our first match, we have Marcus Mathers taking on Treehouse Lee. The match was pretty good. A lot of like the whole spots, junior heavyweight, cruiserweight style did apply in this one. But however, Treehouse actually, while he was distracting the referee, he gave Marcus Mathers a low blow, and then he pulled off the turnbuckle a twisty elbow drop, giving him the win. Next up, we have a qualifying match for the Pure Violence title. First, we have Alex Kane versus Robert Martyr. I thought the match was pretty good because it showed Robert Martyr he knows he's dealing with the guy who has a lot of experience with technical abilities. But in this case, it was the referee who had to call the match in favor of Alex Kane when Robert Anthony was unable to proceed. Next up, we have a six-way scramble match, or should I say, just turn into seven. We have Ozzy Killmeister, Drake Xavier, Ty Hill, Chelsea Durden, Kill Billy, and Colin King, and then finally this guy you all may have heard of, Zicky Dice. Now, Zicky Dice says that there's seven of them. He tried to be a total ass with everybody, but Colin King kicked his ass, but had everybody give him a punch, and then later, every person for themselves. But it took a long while to how this was gonna get. However, Colin King had the match won until Zicky Dice also pinned what's his name? Um they double pinned Killmeister until he was out just completely. I was like, wow, I can't believe that happened. So there were two winners, but of course, I don't think anybody liked that. Now our next match is a Devil's Big Red Dick Death match between Jimmy Lloyd and Lindsay Snow. We have Angel Metro, who is the partner of the late Marcus Crane, who you may have heard of or not. Match was doing great until they were attacked by none other than 440. These piece of garbage just ruined everything. So we'll just see what happens because they are in the main event. Next up, we have a death match. We have Madman Pondo taking on AJ Gray. Awesome match. I think it was a very good one for AJ Gray to pick up a good win when he applied a guillotine where he used the stop sign onto the head of Pondo, a move that we've seen particularly with ECW original Sabu. It was great. So it was a pretty good match. I think it was pretty good playing homage to Sabu. We have an open challenge death match by a guy named JJ Allen. He was intercepted by Ocean. I thought it was pretty intense because it seems like JJ had everything under control until it was overturned by a roll up by Alex to pick up a win. Even JJ was not thrilled that this match went into his favor. Next up, our co-main event, we have Joey Janela and Jamie Senegal taking on the Best Bros. I have to say the Best Bros put out a best performance in my opinion because I don't think they've ever been in these type of matches, but it was a lot of fun. There were some great moments that I enjoyed, you know. But however, it was Joey Janela who finished off the win when he applied a spike power driver on Balinaki, allowing themselves to win the match. Now our next and main event, we have Pero teaming with Sawyer Wreck and Slunk taking on the members of 440, Atticus Cogar, Bobby Beverly, and Eric Ryan. Now you know for a fact what Atticus Cogar is all about. He is the current NPU champion. However, the match could have gone in their favor if it wasn't for the outside interference by none other than Zachary Wentz, who wants the Circle 6 World title that currently is being occupied by Atticus Cogar. So he followed him and he taught him a lesson. And this led to, of course, for Perro to pick up the win. But however, much like Zachary Wentz, who wants the title shot, Perro was the previous NPU champion until Atticus Cogar. But however, he was interrupted by Father James Mitchell. Then after that, here comes Stu Young and two other goons. I don't know what was that all about, but I think they're telling a story about Perro and all this and this stuff. But we'll see what happens then. So we'll just end it right here and move on to our final review, AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, our last review, AEW Dark Elevation, opened up with Red Velvet, who we haven't seen for quite some time in singles competition. Now she faces Billy Starks. Match was pretty good. I think it was pretty amazing because there's been talk about having Billy Starks come back. Now, keep in mind this is Tony Khan's way of trying to see what can each talent they can get could be a perfect fit for AEW, and I think Billy is one of those people. But I have to say, Billy really stood out. However, it was Red Velvet with the spinning roundhouse kick that sealed the deal. 1, 2, 3. It was over right from there. Now, Athena was set to be in a tag match until she was interviewed by Lexi. She had no partner, but she decided to pick Diamante, someone who Diamante hasn't forgotten, with her attitude, that sort of thing. Our next match, we have the Workhorsemen, Anthony Henry and JD Drake taking on Dark Order, Silver, and Reynolds. Good match. I have to say it was a pretty good, strong match because you look at the Workhorsemen, they are a very difficult team to beat, but somehow they were able to overcome it when there was a combination on by Reynolds and Silver onto Henry, and it was over right from there with the pinfall made by Reynolds. Next up, we got Brian Pillman Jr. taking on Roosh. This match, you probably can guess, this one went into Roosh's favor, bringing the violence out, and of course, he got the horns from the bull, and then it was over from there. However, that wasn't the end of it. They decided to choke him out with the little the little wire that was outside. That kind of sets everything. Now, our next match, we have Diamante and Athena taking on Yuka Sakazaki and Sky Blue. I have to say, it was a good match. Madison Rain was there too. But I had a feeling that somehow Diamante and Athena will try to get along as much as possible, but sooner or later things didn't go exactly Athena's way. She might have gotten on. I can't tell from that until it was over. It was, of course, Yuka Sakazaki that picked up the win with her finisher, and that was it. Next up, we got Ari Daivari and Tony Nese along with Sterling taking on Top Flight. What a match. I have to say it was a pretty good one. I enjoyed it. However, I did like how Dante was able to try to put away what's his name? Ari Daivari with the nosedive, giving him and his brother the win. Now in the back we did see Lexinier interview Yuka Sakazaki, what's next for her. Then here comes the Dark Order saying if she wants to join. I mean, she's not a bad fit, but we're just gonna wait and see what happens. Now, our next match, we have the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi taking on Truth Magnus and Turbo Floyd. I have to say it was a pretty good match. I liked it, but it was the somewhat of a hellhole by Brody King to put away Truth Magnum Doubt, and they won the match. Next up, we got the ROH World title on the line. We got Blake Christian taking on Claudio Castagnoli. Pretty good match. I liked it, but the Giant Swing sealed the deal by putting away Blake Christian when he knew it was over. He had no other choice but to tap out. So that's how it ended. So that's pretty much it what we have for AEW Dark Elevation. So let's move on to some news updates. Welcome to our news update. So we have a lot to put out. For our WWE updates, this is what we have. As you know, I did not, Rhea Ripley did win the Royal Rumble this year. Now, I don't normally watch the Raw or SmackDown events, but however, I was surprised of her choice who she's going to win. You know, the rule of thumb, the Royal Rumble doesn't specify which title the winners take. And to my surprise, it was, of course, Rhea Ripley chose the go after Charlotte Flair because if you guys remember, Charlotte Flair did cause a problem back with NXT, and I think that kind of understands. I would have assumed she wanted Bianca Belair, but no, it wasn't that. So it was very interesting in that dynamic. Now, related to more with WWE, Triple H did reveal that reported that he gave the Good Brothers some um, surprising long deals. I don't know exactly what, but as you know, they're probably back with WWE full time, I think. But we'll see what happens. Two major updates coming up from show for the show by Stardom. For the first one is going to be the Showcase Volume 4. As you know, I did mention that Saki Kashima and Suri were talking. However, I had no clue what it was until I found out what it is. Turns out there's going to be a match between those two, the UWF rules match. Now, the last time this happened was was it last year? No, back in 2021 with Konami and Suri, which led to Konami to leave Stardom due to her health issues. So that's going to happen on the showcase real soon. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, second update with Stardom. As you know, we're getting closer to another tournament that's going to start at the end of March, near the end of March. The Cinderella tournament that will take place on the 26th of March, which is a Sunday at the Yokohama Budokan. Now, for some of you are probably saying, what is the Cinderella tournament? Well, this is a single elimination. You have the option to decide what title you want to go. Most of people who won this tournament, they will go for the white belt. Last year we had Mirai, who won it, and she hasn't won the white belt just yet. Hopefully, my thoughts right now, I hope Mina Shirakawa wins it because her desires to obtain the white belt. That's something that I still think that could play out. Or if she wins the the roulette on the 4th of February, we'll see. Moving on. Surprisingly, our current NWA Women's Champion Kamille has surpassed 600 days as our current NWA Women's Champion. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. WrestleCon has announced that Conan will be at their event during WrestleMania week. That's going to be awesome. Black Label Pro announced for an upcoming match at the Love Stinks event that will take place on the 18th. Dan the Dad will take on Trevor Outlaw. So be tuning for that one. Two things from Prestige. First one, Nervous Breakdown, which is going to take place in LA on the 31st, has announced for their Nervous Breakdown event, Tail Valkyrie will be there. However, they announced for their upcoming event in in April, Roseline at the returning back to Portland, Oregon. On the 29th, it was announced that Penta El Cero Miedo will be making his debut. RCW Spain, the Spanish promotion, has announced that they are booking for the event on the 18th in Barcelona. Angel Hayes. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with Angel Hayes, she was previously contracted with WWE NXT until they no longer need it, so she's going to be participating. She's a Scottish wrestler, so you guys should check her out. DEFY Wrestling for their year 6 event that'll take place on the 11th. They announced that the DEFY Championship will be on the line between Swerve Strickland against Titus Alexander. Alright, guys, for the upcoming event by Marvelous in Shinkiba on the 3rd of February, we're going to have several matches have been announced. First match, we have Ibaka's Me taking on Yuri. Second match is Shikayo Nagashima and Miyu Momono taking on Unagi. And once again, he teams up with Rina Makura. Last time they picked up a very good one together. As you know, they're allies from both Cosmic Angels and Colors. Next up, we got Tomoka Watanabe taking on AI Hazen. That's going to be good. And then finally, our main event is going to be Izuki Aoki and Mayohiki taking on Maria and Riko Kawahara. I'm looking forward to that match. Queen of Indies has announced for their upcoming participant, Rochelle Revert. I don't know who she is, but we'll see how that goes. West Coast Pro for the upcoming event, West Coast Best Crows, on the 4th of March. There's going to be a no disqualification between Vinny Masario and RSP. JCW has announced for the opening round in the J Cup, we're going to have Joey Janela taking on Starboy Charlie. Now for our GCW Collective, this is what has been announced. For Josh Barnett Bloodsport on the 30th, we have Timothy Thatcher make his return to this promotion. After that, we have for the Jimmy Lloyd's D-Generation F on the 31st. We're going to have Joe Lando making his return onto this event. GCW versus DT on the 31st. We have Yoshihiko will be making his appearance. Then for the Joey Janela's spring break, we have Maki Ito and Hijo de Vecino will take place on the 31st as well. Then after that, Emo Fight, we got Leo Rush and this guy called Wake Up Face Springs Eternal. I don't know who he is. Will make his way. And then finally, Hijo Vikingo will make another appearance on the 1st of April for Lucha World Lucha. Is going to be good. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. As you know, we have Tuesday Wrestling. That's going to be a lot of fun to look at. So I don't know what other events I will be throwing, but I'll just wing it for everybody. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you do so. Goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.